Bruins Benders post-game live, and it's on the Inside the Rink YouTube channel. Click subscribe to watch us all season long. It's Maddie and Smitty. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and on X at Bruins Benders. The Bruins take a 4-0 defeat in Nashville, Tennessee, to the winless up until tonight Nashville Predators. And we are here for post-game. It's the Bruins' second loss in a row. They have been outscored 6-1 in the last two games of this 3-game trip. And right now, searching for some answers. And this one was not so great first period. Second period and third period got a little bit better. And it wasn't that they didn't have some chances here and there. But defensively gave up all sorts of shots, taking too many penalties. Another 6 minor penalties. They've taken 40 minor penalties on the season. Tops in the league. And the undisciplined play has continued even after they were called out by their coach, which is not a great sign and makes you feel that maybe the message isn't absorbing.
I don't know what the problem is. I mean, it's been a history under Montgomery with the starts. Slow. They don't have any answers right now. None. They put Pastrnak, Lindholm, Marchand together. -2, -2, -3, I believe. Mm-hmm. Lindholm was -3. Marchand and Pastrnak both -2. I mean, they combined for 11 shots. So that part is good, I suppose. But you know, minus whatever, -7 combined. Not what you're looking for, really.
No.
Zadorov is on pace to tie the Bruins record for minor penalties taken in a season with Kenny Linsman, the rat.
Yes, yep.
So Zadorov is covering himself in glory. That's a $6 million well spent, $5 million well spent for a minor penalty every game. And it's just, they just don't have any answers. They look slow. They don't generate it. Watching other teams play and then watching the Bruins play is very, very frustrating right now, because it seems like other teams can pass the puck to each other and make good creative plays, little give and goes. Our guys like to just hold on to it, and then chip it down the boards or off the glass. Hope plays like blind passes into the middle of the zone. Just they don't know how to play offense with each other, I think. And maybe it's just that they don't have enough guys who know how to actually play offense. I mean, that might be what the problem is they don't have enough fucking talent. Sorry, John. Not enough talent. Not enough guys who are creative with the puck that have talent. That's the issue.
I think I agree. Again, it comes back to what I've been saying since David Krejci left. They don't have any playmaking centers. They don't.
No.
So that's part of it. Like they have Elias Lindholm and Pavel, Zacha and Charlie Coyle. They're all the same type of player, two-way player, but they're not exactly playmakers, great passers, guys who can really make creative plays like you just talked about. They don't have that. So when you have like a Pastrnak who could you really use that type of guy, I mean, he flourished with a David Krejci, and he just doesn't have it. Brad Marchand has even less than that right now. And he looks so old and so out of sorts. And I know he didn't start working out until August, whatever. And maybe that's it. Maybe he's just still trying to get his legs under him and trying to get a feel and a rhythm. But he just doesn't look like the old Brad Marchand buzzing around, winning battles. They still don't win a ton of battles, especially the top couple of lines. They still don't. They take forever. Every time the puck goes to the half wall or the sideboards, like they never seem to win those races to the puck at all. So I think there's a speed problem. I think that they went a little bit too heavy on the size. I think they have too many bottom six guys, and they're trying to wedge a couple into the top six. It's not working. Again, the Coyle line was just god awful again. Charlie Coyle was god awful again. I mean, he had a couple of giveaways. He had no shots on net, I don't believe, and then he was like 3 for 9 or whatever on the faceoff dot. Like he's just, I just, you know, now I don't know what they could have done because the free agent market. I'm not sure what exactly was there for them. And they did get Lindholm, which I think is a pretty good signing overall. I need to give him a little bit more time with that. And Zadorov is overpaid. He's committed another minor penalty today, 7 in 7 games. Because that's what he does, though. He's a heavily penalized player. But I think they went a little bit too far with the heaviness and the big and the size, and they just have a mismatch of people that just don't, like you say, don't gel together, don't mesh together, and they're a couple of forwards short. And that's just the bottom line. That's it. And I know it's only 7 games, but that's what it is. I mean, they're a couple of forwards short. I mean, I'm watching Taylor Hall score his 700th point, and Taylor Hall wasn't terrific, but he was good at times for Boston. But he had game-changing speed, And then you also had Jake DeBrusk, who had, at least he had some speed, and he could stretch, offenses. Now he was very frustrating and inconsistent, but you didn't replace those types of guys on the wings. So your wings right now are really, really weak.
They are. So I mean, the whole team is weak. I mean, we talked about it before. During our next full episode, we're going to go through the top 9s for all the teams in the league and find out where the Bruins stack up. And little hint, it's not very high.
No, not the highest.
It's not very high. So they just don't have talent. They let talent go. They thought they could add to the back end, get heavier on the back end to beat a team like Florida, and that's not really what they needed. It wasn't. We've talked about this before. Florida plays a heavy game, but they're not fighters. They're not, they agitate you. They get under your skin. So you have to be above that. You have to be the initiator, or you have to be above the scrums and all the bullshit that they bring to the game and just play.
And they also have talented players.
Yes. Of course.
Of course. For God's sakes.
Yeah, of course they do. But I think the point is that they're going in the wrong direction. You tried to add, another bruiser on the back end where you needed to add scoring depth. Right. Your scoring depth went out the window with the losses of, Hall and DeBrusk and, guys like that.
Bertuzzi, Bergeron, like all of it.
Exactly. I mean, they lost a ton of top 6, top 9 forwards and didn't really replace them. They replaced them with dime a dozen guys that they picked up off the scrap heap and were like, oh, maybe we can squeeze some fucking blood from this stone. Morgan Geekie, who was a 4th line guy in Seattle. Yeah. So, they're trying to find diamonds in the rough with, paying very little money. You have to have talent. You have to pay for talent. That's what it comes down to. You have to pay guys. If there's guys that can produce and score, you have to pay them. That's what it comes down to. Right. You can't, get guys like Danton Heinen off the scrap heap and sign them to a entry level deal or a veteran minimum deal and expect everybody's going to chip in 15 goals. That it doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. That's not how you build a team. You don't just get a bunch of guys on PTOs and be like, oh, we're set now. We got all the guys. That's not how it works. You have to pay for fucking top end talent. You do.
No, you do. You have to have top end talent. They just aren't as talented as they used to be. And we were pretty spoiled with how good they were. And now, they just don't have, top end centerman, and they're at least a winger short, and that's kind of rearing its ugly head right now. I mean, it's just not a lot there. Trent Frederick, who had a good season last year, but that was his one good season. Like it's not like Trent Frederick is a 25 goal scorer every single year. This is, there's somewhere in between is what Frederick is. It's not what it is now, and it's not what it was last year. Somewhere in between,
Right.
is who he is. And then Geeky, like you said, like Geeky is, a guy with some potential and some size. And last year he was okay. He was decent. But again, now, he hasn't done a hell of a lot. Max Jones commits, 2 more penalties tonight. 4 penalties in the 3 games he's played. And not really adding a hell of a lot to what's going on here. And it's just, right now, and I'm trying not to overreact to it because it is 7 games in. But I'll tell you what, and I've said this before, that Jim Montgomery's getting a little nervous, and he showed it tonight by yanking the goalie with 6.5 minutes left. And he's showed it in other ways by talking to the media about his team and yelling at Brad Marchand. And, a lot of the things he's been doing are a desperate coach and a nervous coach, anxious coach. And I'm telling you, Paul Maurice got an extension today. I know they won the cup or whatever, but, the Bruins have no intention right now of giving Montgomery an extension. And if they liked him, and if they wanted to roll on with him in the future, he would have an extension by now.
Well, I wonder if part of the problem with this is because he's a lame duck.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is. So, like, do the players say, well, why should I listen to this guy? He might not be the coach next year.
Yeah.
So it's like right now, the Bruins either need to extend the guy and say he's our guy,
right,
or they need to get rid of him.
Right.
Because going on with the guy in the last year of his contract, and it's just like you're going to play out the string and then he's just going to walk and that's going to be it. And you're just going to let the team fall to shit in the meantime. Like that. You can't do that.
You have to believe that
you need the general manager to general manage. Make up your fucking mind, Don Sweeney. Make up your mind. Is he your guy or is he not?
Or is he not?
If he's not your guy, get rid of him now and light a spark on the fucking team. Sorry, John. Like, figure it out. Is he your guy or is he not your guy?
Right. Shouldn't you know he's your guy right now in 2.5 seasons? Like, shouldn't you know by now? Like, if you don't know by now, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, to me, it's kind of silly to have him unsigned, not extended, and playing this kind of game in this lame duck scenario with him. It's silly. Like, you should know by now in 2+ seasons whether he's your guy or not. You should know. You should. What would change other than they don't do that well and you let him go? So basically, you're saying that you're not that confident in him. That's what you're saying. I mean, if you were confident in him, you'd sign him.
Well, right. And so that trickles down to the players. That's what I'm saying. If the management's not confident, why should the players be? This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Our management doesn't want him around. They didn't give him an extension. So why should we listen to the guy? He doesn't know what he's talking about. The management doesn't think he knows what he's talking about because they're not going to sign him to an extension. He's just sitting there with his fucking dick in his hand, and everybody's like watching him jerk off. Like it's just, it's a lose scenario.
Yeah, I think that you would just think, like, after what happened with Marchand yelling him at on the bench and some of the things that Monty said in the media, you would just think you'd get, I don't know, it would just be a better vibe, more of a vibe on the team if they are more of a response, I would think, than that. Like, it seems like we're at the end.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have gotten a response tonight after he kind of yelled at Marchand and called the team out and said, we're not tough enough on pucks and, all that. We didn't skate hard enough. You would think that they would push back. In the past, Bruins teams, when called out, or even after a loss, have pushed back. Not so much. Not so much. No. I mean, they ran into a desperate, it was a bad situation going, to Nashville. Winless team, you had a feeling of Nashville eventually, is going to win a game. Obviously,
sure, they have good players.
Yeah, they do. So I was expecting going into this one that they would probably lose, that it wasn't going to be an easy game.
Yeah, sure.
Did I think they'd get shut out? No, I didn't.
No.
I thought they would give a better effort, especially early on. Like 20 seconds in, Pastrnak's taking a lazy,
another lazy penalty. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's a total hook, interference hook from a mile away. That's not allowed. Like, what are you doing?
I haven't seen him skate hard.
No, I haven't either.
For maybe a couple of flashes in the third period.
Yeah.
He's like gliding around the ice.
Gliding.
Like he's Ovechkin, like waiting for the puck to come to him.
Right.
And then he's going to score. Like has that what it's come down to now?
And he plays 20 some odd minutes a game.
Well, I mean, maybe that's part of the problem is he's trying to save himself because he's out there all the damn time.
Yeah.
I mean,
today he played 16, 18. So today Monty must have been like, you know what?
Well, they were shorthanded the whole goddamn time.
Yeah, they took shorthanded. You're right. He doesn't play shorthanded minutes, so you're right.
No.
So there you go. Yeah. I see it too. Like I see a lot of sort of gliding, not really playing until he gets the puck kind of thing. Then he took that ill-advised shot. I know the net's empty and the game's probably over, but he takes that ill-advised shot where it's not going to go anywhere. He flubs it, gets blocked, come back down, put it in the empty net. Like, for God's sakes, like I don't know. It to me, it just seems like the team, and I know it's early in the year, but it just seems like there's a little bit of a dead in the water kind of feel to it. Like it just seems that way, and I don't know why that is. But maybe some of the things that Monty said, in the media and in the reaction to Marchand and maybe that's just sort of cast a pall over the team right now.
It's a possibility. Know. I mean, they clearly don't have answers. I don't really have any answers either. I mean,
I don't either. I mean, what would you do? I mean, what would you do? And I know the Lysell thing and everything, but he's not going to change what's happening right now.
No,
you're going to put him on a bottom six scenario and screw him when you bring him up. Like, you're not going to put him on the second line or first line. So you're not going to put him with good players. You're going to put him with Riley Tufte and Max Jones or whatever the hell. And he's not going to produce. And you're going to say, well, and then he's going to play 8 minutes. And you're just going to put him in a scenario where he's not going to succeed.
Well, it's the same thing they did to Potter tonight. His wingers were Max Jones and Morgan Geekie.
In a row now. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, and part of it is they don't have enough guys. They don't have enough good guys for them to play with, is what it comes down to.
At this point in time, if I was Monty, I would say, you know what? I'm going to play Poitras with Pastrnak and Zacha, and I'm going to play Marchand with Lindholm and somebody on the first two lines, and I'm just going to go with it because what else? I mean, and I'm going to put Coyle down with Geekie and Frederick on the third line where Coyle should be because hasn't done dick. So I would put him there, and that's what I would have. Like, that's what I would do right now. Like, how much worse would it be?
My dick.
How much worse would it be? Like, how much worse would it be?
It wouldn't be worse. What they need to do is what you said, essentially. What'd you say? Zacha,
Poitras, and Pastrnak. And then Lindholm and Marchand in a second lineup, like Tyler Johnson. Fine. Put him there, whatever. And then Frederick, Geekie, Coyle, and then Coyle, Frederick, Geekie, and then you put your fourth line in there. And that's what I would do for a few games and see. Yeah. Because at this point, if you're going to have Poitras play up here, because he probably, honestly, in my opinion, I think Poitras could have used some time in Providence. I really do. Like, there are some times, like, he does okay, but there's some times where I think he could have used some seasoning down in Providence, and he probably still could. But this team is so friggin' shorthanded in the forward group that he has to play. Like, they has to be up here because they don't have better in the organization.
No. I mean, I think it has to be either Lysell or Tyler Johnson on the second line right wing, and you give one of those guys a chance and see what happens.
It has to be.
If you lose, I think they're worried about waivers, which I don't know.
Who would you want? Who are you worried about losing right now?
Well, I'm not. That's what I was gonna say.
Like, honestly,
I give a rat's ass.
Right?
If
No one's
Riley
taking
Puffy
these people,
or Max Jones or Justin Brazeau.
Nobody's taking those people. Nobody's taking them.
Get waived. Yeah, I mean, I think
all the waiver claims that go through in the past couple of years, very few people get claimed. And those guys are certainly not going to get claimed.
I would agree with you.
They're not. I mean, that's just asinine. Like that, we're going to handcuff our team so that Justin Brazeau isn't taken by someone. I mean, come on. Well, what are we doing?
I mean, I don't know.
Justin Brazeau, everybody had an opportunity to get Justin Brazeau. Everybody.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants him. I mean, come on. I mean, Jesus. Can we not overvalue our players? Grow up.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly.
I think that's part of what they're worried about. I do. I think honestly
it 100% is. It 100% is because nobody overvalues his players like Don Sweeney.
Well, Sweeney signed those guys too. He does. Yeah. So you sign him and then you waive him almost immediately.
You show that you
screwed
up, which he will never admit.
Yes.
Right. He's the smartest guy in the room. Yep.
Yeah. Went to Harvard.
Smartest guy in the room.
Went to Harvard.
You know what I mean? I know he's the least of our concerns, which is why they should just put him through waivers. Like, Jesus, I mean, this is not hard. Like, put Tyler Johnson in there, who's a proven veteran. He's better than what you have. He's not going to cost a lot of money. Just send somebody through waivers. They'll go down to Providence because no one's going to claim him, and then put Tyler Johnson in there for a while because he can actually play hockey in the NHL on a second line. Like, he can do it. He's won cups. He scored goals, 17 last year. Like, he can do it. Like, for God's sakes. I mean, this dick around thing is just crazy to me. Like, sometimes I just don't understand what the general philosophy is. Like, it was puck movers and two-way players and all this stuff. And all of a sudden it was, let's go out and get gigantic, because of the Florida Panthers. Even though you've had a heaviness problem for a while. I think Neely finally said, you know what? We got to stop getting pushed around. So he convinced Sweeney that this is what we need to do. And whenever Neely puts his fingerprint on it, great player, loved him to death. Yeah. But whenever he puts his thumb on the team, it's bad news. It's always Nick Ritchie, and it's Brett Ritchie, and it's all these friggin' guys. Every Ritchie you can find. Matt Bolesky, whenever he puts his thumbprint on it, it's bad news.
Yep.
So there you have it. Like, right now, this team doesn't have a lot. I mean, where's the scoring going to come from? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. They play Dallas, who's a friggin' good hockey club, on Thursday. And then they play Toronto, who scores like 6 goals a game. Tonight they got blown out. But for the most part, that's a super talented team that's probably going to win the division. So the next 2 games here, you better find it, or you're going to lose these next 2 and be 3-5-1.
Dallas doesn't give up goals either.
No, they don't. They have a really good goaltender they just extended, and they have a
really
super
good
talented
goaltender. They have really good team defense. They have fast forwards. They have young guys who can move. They have big guys who can move. Rupe Hintz. Mm-hmm. They're a really good team. They're going to probably come in here and whack you around on Thursday.
Sure.
First game.
I think they just lost. Didn't they just lose to Buffalo tonight?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So they're going to come in and win. Yeah. And and then Toronto is ready to chew your face off.
Yep.
So you could lose the next 2 and be 3-5-1. Then what? What if they lose the next 2 games?
I don't know if it's a what if. I think it's a probably.
Right. So they lose the next 2 games. Now what? Like, no, how long does it take before they just move on from Montgomery?
I mean, they could lose 3 of the next 4 because they have the Flyers. The Flyers are going to be working hard after the Leafs, and then they have the Hurricanes on the road.
Oh boy. Yep.
who are always a terrible matchup for the Bruins.
Yes.
So, you could be looking at, 4-6, 4-8,
4-6-1,
4-6
or
and 1.
whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
And then what? I mean, at what point? I mean, here's what I here's what I want to know from Don Sweeney. What are you looking for as far as your coach? Like,
we talked about this all off season, not necessarily what you're looking for from your coach, but what is your philosophy as a team?
right.
And hard to play against. That's
so vague. It's crazy. Yeah.
That doesn't count.
It doesn't
What's
matter.
your philosophy as a team?
Right.
I wanna know what your philosophy is as a team.
Hard to play against is such a vague phrase.
That's a cop out.
It doesn't.
Everybody wants to be hard to play against.
Yeah,
it's the nature of the league.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be that.
Right.
Define what that means to you.
Yeah, what does that look like? Right.
Because I don't think they know. I think Cam Neely thinks it's big, bruising guys who hit and are tough. I think Don Sweeney probably has a different definition.
Yeah, he thinks it's transition hockey
but that's not hard to play against.
They can't transition the puck right now because they don't have enough speed on the wings, and they don't have talented enough players on the wings to transition the puck properly. It's just painful to watch them transition the puck right now. It's painful. Like
it's not just tape because they have too many guys now who are, I don't know. Zadorov.
Who on the team? Who on the team really does anything other than Pastrnak and maybe Marchand, although he looks like he's old. So besides those guys, like who does something like real special offensively? Like who's a playmaker?
Offensively?
Yeah. I mean, when Patra looks pretty good, that says something when he stands out like that, because even he is inexperienced, but he'll do some things that stand out. And you're like, oh, there's a hockey player. Like there's a guy with IQ and vision and playmaking ability, but he's 20 and he's inexperienced. But it stands out because the rest of them don't do it. Like the rest of them can't do it.
You see flashes from guys here or there. But it's nothing consistent.
This is like the old, mid 80s teams where you had Neely and Gianni, and then you had a bunch of muckers and grinders.
Yeah.
And this reminds me of those teams so much.
Yeah.
And that doesn't win now.
No.
Like it just doesn't win. It doesn't win. This is talented
teams.
Didn't win that either. Talented players. Didn't win that either, right? No. But it reminds me of that back then. Like it's just so, look, I don't know. I think you're a really good hockey club if you have a number one center and then you have Lindholm and Coyle and stuff. Like you need like two top line guys to play with Pastrnak. You don't have that. Like you don't have two really special players to make a really good top line with David Pastrnak. You don't have it. So, and I don't know where you're going to get it, because you're not going to get it in the draft. You're not going to get it in free agency. I mean, you're not going to get it in trade unless you trade McAvoy or someone, so I don't know how you're going to get it. And we've talked about this. The writing is on the wall for this team to continue to go backwards because they don't have, high-end elite players coming down the pipeline. And when Marchand goes and Coyle goes, and who are those guys replaced with? And how do you replace them? It's going to be very difficult because you don't have draft picks. And you don't have high-end talent. You don't have prospects. And you can't trade to get them. And they don't end up in free agency ready for you to snipe them. So I don't know how you do it. I don't.
I don't know. I'm just at a loss. Like I'm thinking about I was watching the Rangers game earlier, and there was a play where, they have the puck on the half wall. It goes cross ice to Fox as he's closing in. He no look past his Zibanejad coming, parallel with him, and he one times it in for a goal. It's like the Bruins would never in a million years complete that passing play.
Nope.
Never.
Not anymore.
So it's kind of disheartening. Like I said, watching other teams around the league and then watching this Bruins team play, the way they, the puck explodes off their sticks and they're like kicking it around and like throwing it into people's skates and
the really talented young players in the league. Like that's what's disheartening to me. Like there's some teams out there with even teams that aren't that great that have really talented young players who will make plays and things. And you just think to yourself, where are the Bruins really talented young players other than Lowry? And Patra is coming along, but not as talented as these guys that I see on these other teams. Adam Fantilli. And I mean, Columbus is, probably going to be toward the bottom of the league. And they've got a couple of guys that are just really good young players.
Fantilli was like the second pick in the draft, though. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
the Bruins don't have that.
No,
they won't have that.
But but Columbus has been bad a long time, and the Bruins have been in the playoffs. So it's like, where do you want to be in order to, like you said, the writing's on the wall. It's coming. Like this
is a slow death.
Yeah,
this is what I said last week.
They don't want to go down that far. They don't think Bruins fans can handle it. They
lose jobs. People lose jobs when they go down that far with the Bruins.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it, and
that's why
it is. And the Jacobs want their playoff gates, so they want them to reload instead of rebuild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's what it's going to come down to, though. In order for the Bruins to get back to having a top line center, they're going to have to get it in the draft, and they're going to have to suck before they can get it in the draft. And then you hope that when they suck, it's a year with a generational kid.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's the other thing.
You have to hope Sidney Crosby's in the draft that year, and you get him.
Right.
Or Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon or whoever.
Connor Bedard. Somebody.
Yeah, Connor Bedard.
Who's
Macklin Celebrini. Like whatever it is, you have to hope that kid's in the draft. And it's not, the Yurov Slavkovsky year or Shane Wright year or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it's disheartening. And I know it's early, and hopefully we'll look back at this in, a couple months and be like, oh, everybody's scoring goals. All of them are.
And maybe they turn it around and it's
Tyler Johnson's in there now. He's got 10 already, and everybody's scoring. Pastrnak has 20 goals. Everybody's doing great. Kumbaya. Monty's back there, laughing it up with his scally cap on or something, having a good time. But I don't know. I'm not sure it's going to go in that direction. I think it might go in the other direction.
All right, let's look in the box score. 18 more giveaways tonight for the Boston Bruins. As we said, Pastrnak played 16-18 because they were shorthanded quite a bit tonight. Pastrnak only played 20 shifts in the game, 26 shifts for Elias Lindholm because he is a penalty killer, as well as a power play guy. 6 block shots for Brandon Carlo, who also was on the ice for a couple of the goals there. Tonight, I had a couple shots, 3 giveaways. Did play 17:54 of ice time. Hampus Lindholm, the most minutes of the defenseman with 22:36, 27 shifts. McAvoy played the least amount of shifts. He played 23 with Andrew Peak tonight. Let's see. Patrick played
4-minute penalty too. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. So that play, like I thought, and I agree with you. You texted me and said you thought McAvoy was playing okay up to the point. I thought he was, but that play was like a microcosm of many things that are wrong. Like he's trying to get. He's with Stamkos at the boards. He should win that battle.
Well, he thought it was icing. They all thought it was icing at first, but he coasted back and was looking around. Play the puck until it's whistled.
You can't. Yeah,
and you can't just try to look around and coax an icing out of the guy. Like sometimes they don't call it. You got to play.
Then he tries to make two soft like passes along the back of the net or whatever. He tries to just kind of soft with it. It doesn't go anywhere a couple of times, and then all of a sudden the puck's going toward the front of the net, and he tries to just careless stick, clip Stamkos in the face. 4 minutes, and sure as shit at the end of that power play, right after it expires or as it expires, whatever, it goes in the net.
Yeah.
Like for crying out loud. Like it's just that carelessness. Like this undisciplined in penalties, but that's not the only indicator of undisciplined. It's bad plays, it's lack of focus, it's stupid passes, it's undisciplined has a wide range of things. It's under an umbrella of things. So, and that's what this team does the whole time. And here's what I can't stand. I'm so done with the let's come up the wing and stop just after we get into the zone and turn back and try to make a play. That's been heavily scouted. If anybody has noticed that every time that guy gets buried or they shut that pass back off and they try to make these blind passes toward the center. And in most of the time, it's a turnover and then transition back the other way. But they all do it. They come down into the zone and at about the half wall, they turn back like they're going back toward the blue line again. Stop doing that. Stop it. It's not working. And I don't think it's worked one time. So it's been heavily scouted, and it seems to be the only thing they do when they skate the puck into the zone.
I would agree.
I don't know what that is.
They don't ever try to chip and chase. They don't cross corner dump and go get it. That guy doesn't just send it around the boards to a guy coming in on the other side. Like they have no kind of attack there to get a zone entry. It's just like we're going to go in, we're going to hold it up on the half wall and wait for reinforcements to come and try to make a play. And it, like you said, it's heavily scouted, and they turn it over probably 8 out of 10 times. They turn it over there. And
I thought this team was going to be let's get it below the goal line and be heavy and wear defenses down. I thought that's what they were doing. They don't seem to do it a hell of a lot. So why did they get these guys?
Well, they had guys already on the team that didn't do it.
Right.
So I don't know why you thought they would change their style, or why someone thought that they would change their style.
That's why I don't think the roster changes match up to Montgomery's philosophy.
They don't.
They change the whole philosophy of the team with a coach that doesn't coach that way.
Correct.
Which leads me to believe that they're not continuing on with this coach anyway. So why didn't you just fire his ass at the end of the year?
They should have.
Like, why didn't they? I mean, if you don't, it's a half-hearted attempt to stay with this coach when they know they're not going to continue with him because he doesn't match up with them.
Yeah, I mean, they probably were worried about the PR of it because they worry about everything over there.
I don't look.
You know what I mean?
Sell it.
But that's what it was. It was, the best regular season in the history of the world.
Yeah.
And then,
which he said he didn't have to coach much.
Right.
Okay.
And then they get ousted.
And then he blew the series. Okay.
And he blew the series. And then they come back the next year, have a decent year, but win a playoff round.
If Pastrnak doesn't score that goal.
So if they didn't win the playoff round, I think he was out.
Yeah.
But because they did, they're like, well, we can't fire him. Best regular season in history. And then he won a playoff round the next year. So he went further than he did the year before. So you can't fire him then. Well, you can. If he's not doing the job that you think he should be doing, you can fire him. Sure. Go ahead.
I just wonder if there's a disconnect there between, like, we're going to build the roster this way and the coach is, how do I coach this?
There's a disconnect between all of them.
Yeah, there is. I just think there is.
Between upper management and Montgomery. I think there's a disconnect between Montgomery and the players. I think there's a disconnect. Everyone's disconnected. The whole thing looks disjointed on the ice. I mean, you can see it clear as day.
It does. I don't know.
Nobody knows
what the plan is.
I mean, what's our style of play? What are we doing? Are we heavy and hard and big, or are we a finesse team when Pasternak's out there? Are we a creative team? Do we cycle? Like, what do we do?
No, they basically got a fourth line that can play that way for 10 minutes. Like, that's what they got. The rest of them don't play that way. And not many people changed in that top. And Lindholm is not going to play that way. He's a Bergeron type, a real poor man, like really poor. Patrice Bergeron type. So that's what they did. They got just what I've been saying a million times over. One guy or two guys doesn't change your whole culture and philosophy, especially when they're playing 10 minutes a game. Like, it's just that doesn't. One guy, Nikita Zadorov, is playing is your third pair. That doesn't change Pat Maroon. That Garnet Hathaway. I mean, he came here and couldn't even play the way he could play because they don't play that way. So unless you change the whole team and the whole outfit, it's just stupid. It's stupid. It just pisses me off. Like, it just stop going, halfway with things.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to do everything halfway because we're so afraid, we're so afraid of missing the playoffs. That's what it's all about. They're afraid of missing the playoffs. Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to miss the playoffs. If this continues, you're going to miss the playoffs, and Brad Marchand looks really rough right now. And that's really scary to me. And I wonder if it continues, like if he would really think about retiring. I really wonder that because he's had 5 friggin' surgeries in like the last 2 years. Like,
yeah, I was
for God's sakes.
I was thinking that actually during the game.
I was too.
That if the season goes like this and he just can't ever really get it going the way that he would like to, will he say, I've had enough. He
might. I mean, he might. He might just get frustrated. I think he's already frustrated.
Sure,
I think he understands, like, his body can't do what it used to do, and I think I'm sure it bothers him.
Oh,
I mean, that guy played 100 miles an hour 100% of the time. Like, no one played harder than him. Like, on every single puck, every single shift, like he darted around like he was. But I swear to God, if you looked at a video of him from 5 years ago, you'd see a much different player than you see right now.
Do you think the weight of the captaincy is hurting him with how he plays? Does he need to be more a lick your face?
I've always thought that. I've always thought that guys, like, every time that he would be like punished or redirected when he did something like that, he always saw a dip in his play. We always did over the years. Like, we always did. And I think that he kind of figured out how to toe the line some. But I think that we don't see in the first 7 games there, I haven't seen a chirp, a face wash, nothing. I haven't seen anything from the guy.
That's what I mean. That's not his game.
That's not his game.
So is he still trying to get into the swing of things from all the surgeries and whatnot? Are we chalking it up to that? Or are we saying that he's trying to play a different way because he's the captain and he needs to set an example and all that bullshit? Sorry, John. But is that taking him away from what really makes him successful?
I think it's more than not doing anything physically until August. Is a big part of it.
Right.
But I do think there's some of that. Like, I do think he feels a bit of a weight because it was Bergeron. They've had 4 captains in like 100 years.
Yeah.
Like, so it is a big deal, probably a bigger deal than other teams to be the captain of the Bruins. Especially when Bergeron was a captain for so long and Chara was a cat. Like, if it's, what I mean, Bergeron was and Chara was, and I just think it is a big deal to him. So I think that's probably true, but I think it's more so that his body is just breaking down. He's a human being, and he's had several surgeries of, like, important parts of the fucking body, like the hips and the groins and the, you know what I mean? Like you can't play if your hips don't work and your groin doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like it's just does a really serious injuries and surgeries. Like, and he's 36. Like, and and only that, that's a big part of how he plays. He's low center of gravity. His legs are wicked strong. Like he's all in the hips. Like that's how he plays. You take that shit away, and he's not 6'2", 225.
No.
Like he's barely 5'10", 9. I don't even think he's that.
No.
And he's small. He's a small guy. So I think that's a problem. I think it's a big problem. And I think you're starting to see a decline. Now, he might start to figure it out. I really think now, looking back, and I know they're shorthanded already, I wouldn't have started the season. I would have slowly eased your way back, get into practices, start working out. And I think he came back too soon.
Yeah.
I think he came back too soon because he's
certainly
just
looks
not
like
there
it now.
yet.
I mean, it certainly looks like it now.
Yeah. He's not looking good at all. Like it's so I'm looking at him tonight. Like he doesn't, he had 18 minutes. He had 4 shots on net. He was a -2. He had that one opportunity where it sort of hit him in the knees and it fell down and he kind of flubbed it. He's probably feeling it too. He's probably feeling a little tight on the stick because he wants to score and he wants to produce. Even last year he was a 70-point guy or whatever. Like he's
I mean, at least tonight he was finally starting to shoot the puck a little bit. So that's good.
Yeah. I mean but I'm really concerned because they're already thin at winger. And if he can't produce, oh my God,
yeah.
Oh, they're dead in the water. They might not make the playoffs. If he is a shell of himself, they may not make the playoffs.
They may not. I mean,
they might not.
It's they have a lot of stuff right now to figure out. A lot of stuff to figure out. And right now they don't have many answers to it all.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. Monty handles it, and the team responds here in the next few days here, and see if they can get their shit together.
All right, let's go to some fan comments. T-Boss 42, NHL rule number 1: passengers do not get puck luck. Pasta has been a passenger all year. He does have 4 goals or whatever, and he does get his shots on net, but I just don't think his game's complete. Like I just don't think he's playing with the same kind of passion and effort in both sides of the ice. Like he turned himself into a decent defensive player. Honestly, people don't want to give him credit for it, but he was actually a decent defensive player. He had a 90-something hits last year. Like he started to be a physical presence. And this year he's just floating around. Like you said, he doesn't seem to be skating real hard. There's not a lot of burst. It's just, and I don't know if he just thinks that, first of all, and here's the other thing. Lindholm and Pastrnak didn't play a hell of a lot together. Like Lindholm missed a lot of preseason.
Yeah, I mean,
then the whole preseason, I'll tell you what, the preseason, that preseason is low key a big problem that they had. Like they mismanaged the preseason.
Hugely mismanaged the preseason.
They did. Not enough people talk about it.
No,
they did.
We're talking about it though.
We are right here on this very program. Yeah. They mismanaged it. They were playing guys who weren't going to make the team too much. They set up their Providence Bruins and then sent them all down.
Yeah.
Like they just took for granted that these guys are pros and these guys will be fine. Well, they're brand new, and Lindholm and Pastrnak have no chemistry.
Yeah, I don't get the whole.
Yeah, that was a flub. That was again. Yeah, that's coaching. And general managing, but that's the coaching piece. Like get your guys in there together. Like even when they were in the game, even when they played a preseason game, they didn't even play together. They were missing match. The lines were all fucked up, and they didn't even put the lines that they were going to run with in the season together all that much.
No, that was a mistake too. It's like if you're going to play, Pastrnak in a preseason game, playing with fucking Zacha and Lindholm.
Yeah.
Or
Play
playing
that
with
line.
Marchand, or playing with some guy that he needs to develop chemistry with. That's why I thought the preseason was just handled really, really poorly.
I'd like to go back. I'm going to try to go back. Maybe I'll do that for tomorrow's episode and go back to the 7 games and see what the lines are. And I swear to God, I swear to God, there's not back-to-back games where the lines are the same.
Oh no,
like it's just people
everywhere.
There's just people everywhere. There's just people everywhere, and you have no chemistry. So I get it. If leave it to Monty. One thing about Monty, if the team sucks, he changes all the lines. Like there's no chance for you to work through anything, because he's going to change everything all the time. And it's the opposite of Claude Julien, who would stick it out and stick it out and stick it out. I think you got to stick it out some. Like you just can't you can't get any rhythm or any chemistry.
No, you can't.
Patra to Providence, Max Jones to
Gulag.
And give his $1 million to Tyler Johnson. You know what? I'm seeing now why people are so frustrated with Max Jones. He was a high draft pick or whatever. I see now why people just move on from the guy. He just doesn't have it. And that's just, you are what you are. And that's numero uno in professional sports. You are what you are.
Yeah.
And he is what he is.
They talk about him as an elite skater. Johnny Beecher's an elite skater, and he's a 4th line player too.
Yes.
So it's not like all of a sudden. It's not like all of a sudden these guys are gonna like become 50 goal scorers. Like that's not happening. So like the Max Joneses of the world, dime a dozen. I mean, maybe he's not a dime a dozen. Maybe he's a quarter a dozen. Maybe he's a little bit better than a dime a dozen because he's really a very good skater. But whatever. I mean, if he gets picked by someone else, he gets picked by someone else. If he's waived and somebody grabs him, he's waived and somebody grabs him.
Right.
He's a rat's ass.
Travs thinks that Monty's lost the room, and I'll tell you, there's some signs there that might be happening. Like I don't know if he's completely lost. I don't know. I mean, it is early in the season and so forth. I don't know if that's 100% true, but there's some signs there that I think it's more so that he is unsure whether he'll have a job. And I think he's getting nervous. And when you get nervous, you start making these panic moves. There doesn't seem to be a lot of comfort and ease and poise to him right now in what he says and what he does. And I just think he's feeling the heat, and he's feeling that they don't want to keep him.
I think
he's a lame duck.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a relatively inexperienced head coach.
He is,
as far as the NHL goes.
He absolutely is.
So, maybe it's just he's over his head a little bit here, and it's just.
Do you think if they had, let's say they had Barry Trotz, or I don't even know who was available at the time. Let's say they had someone more experienced that year that they had the record. Do you think they win the cup?
I mean, maybe.
I certainly think they beat Florida.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think they would have had a really good chance.
Yeah. Yes, I think so too.
I think I think they needed a coach with more experience, maybe a little bit of a steadier hand, not as reactionary. And maybe a guy who would be willing to make adjustments, a little bit more of not necessarily a hard ass, but a guy who's going to say, look, this is what we need to do. A guy with a little more cachet that can talk to the veterans. Mm-hmm. A guy whose voice carries weight in the room. I don't know if Monty's voice carries weight in the room. They're like, what did this guy do?
I don't think so. I think he came in as the nice guy, the fun guy, the guy that has a good personality and is different than Cassidy, who was a curmudgeon that who would crawl up and down you and be sarcastic and make fun of you and and make you feel bad and all that stuff. And Jonathan Marchand said the same thing that all the Bruins said about Cassidy. The thing is that the Golden Knights fought through it and won the cup. Mm-hmm. Like that was the big difference. But with Monty, he was he was different. He was the guy that was coming in and hey, and they had a really good team, and he didn't have to coach all that much, and it was a feel good thing, and everybody felt exhaled and felt better about themselves and all that stuff. Well, at the end of the day, he screwed it up because he was inexperienced and he fucked with the lines and played Bergeron when he shouldn't have, and just didn't just didn't he didn't have to touch it in game 5 and they win the series.
Yeah.
But he fucked around with it. Like they were down 3-1 and you never do that. Like who the hell would do that? They lose and then they lose and then they lose and it's over in a flash.
Yeah.
And that's partly his fault. He even admitted it. So, you know what? Now it's like, okay, now we have an inexperienced coach that blew a historic season. And now we haven't, now it's like, does this guy really know what he's doing? How come we can't beat Florida? How come we can't get the puck out of the zone? Like what? Like what do you have for answers, Monty? Like, and I don't think he has much. I just don't think he. And you know what? He's got Joe Sacco, who's been there for 10, 11 years, whatever the hell it is. I don't even know why. He's got naked pictures of somebody.
Is he coaching the defense, Sacco?
I think he does. The defense and
who does the defense?
I think is it Chris Kelly? No, he's not here anymore. Kelly's not there anymore, right?
Oh, is
he's
he
gone. I think didn't he take a job somewhere else? I don't even know. I don't know. They got Leach and Sacco, and Sacco does penalty kill. Maybe he does defense. Maybe Leach does. I don't know. I don't know. It all sucks.
And Sacco's offense. Anyways, yeah, it sucks. Make some adjustments. The guy's been here. If the guy's Sacco's been there for 12, 15 years, whatever it is, make some goddamn adjustments.
I know. I don't understand. Like right now, it just seems like they play the same way over and over again. And tonight it was the same thing. Like, let's turn it back toward the blue line, try to make a play like to the guy coming, and they know it's coming, so they deflect the pass. It goes the other way. Like it's just the offense is so. It just seems to me so vanilla and stagnant, and just not a lot of. When they get chances, it's usually like a loose puck or someone makes a play on something and then it turns into something. Like there's no like, they don't come out like the Moscow Red Army and like make a really nice breakout to a shot, to a great play, there's none of that. There's none of that. So it's usually done on the forecheck, which they don't do enough. And, Pejman says we can call this the Sorry John episode. This team fucking smells right now. 75% of this is on the players. So yes, I would say that, but the roster construction kind of blows, and guys are playing in positions that they shouldn't be. Like they're being put on lines that just shouldn't be. Max Jones gets put on the second line again when he laid a massive egg the first time he was on it, takes penalties, gets scratched. So what are we going to do? We're going to put him on it again. And then he takes 2 more penalties and does next to nothing. I mean, what do you expect? What do you expect? It's like the definition of insanity. It's expecting a different result. Shaz Diet says, how much do you think the other teams know how to play against this team, watching Florida beat this team? And we talked about this. Like, there's the book on how to beat the Bruins. Everybody's watching it. There you have it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Just watch tape of Boston and Florida, and if you have guys that are similar style to Florida, that's really all you need to do.
Yeah.
Bang their defense, force them into turnovers, pinch down the walls against their forwards. They can't make plays along the wall. None of them can. They're awful at it. And you hem them in, and then you just get pucks to the net, bodies to the net, and bang in a rebound. Boom.
Right.
W.
I think it's time. And I think we're getting to that point. It's time for a whole new management change, a whole new thing. Like, I just think it's 10 years of this, and it was a nice run and all, but I think it's time now for just a whole new philosophy, a whole new group. I still think in hindsight, and I like the Monty hiring because I was so fucking afraid of David Quinn.
Me too.
That when Monty was hired, I was like, thank Jesus.
Me too.
But I still think it's Spencer Carberry. It might have been the guy. Like,
it certainly looks that way.
What he's doing with Washington, and that team I thought was dog shit on a stick, and they make the playoffs, and then this year they're off to a good start. Like, he's a good coach, and I now in hindsight, and I'm not saying I said it at the time, I'll freely admit, but now looking back, I'm like, Jesus, maybe that was the guy.
Probably.
And that's now here you have it. Let's see what else we have here. Pejman says we can only hope that Jones, Tufte, and Brazeau get claimed so Monty isn't tempted to put them in the lineup again. Tyler Johnson is going to demand $7 million, seeing how desperate the Bruins are. Yes, that's probably a good point. And then T-Boss says, I love everybody using sorry, John. It's caught on. Poor John hasn't been back, but
no,
but he will live in infamy. 80% of the turnovers are on the backhand, and that's what I'm saying. They come into the zone, they turn these blind passes, like trying to get it to a guy that's supposedly there, but that's covered because they know it's coming.
I just hate the way this team plays offense. I really do.
I do too.
I can't stand the way they play offense.
I do too, and I think it's largely because they don't have a lot of cohesiveness either.
I think that's true. But I think they could play the Carolina Hurricanes brand of offense, which is when you get the puck into the zone, you get it down low, you work it low to high, and as soon as the puck gets back to the point, it's on the net. They don't waste time dusting it off, fucking around with it. Sorry, John. It's on the net, and the forwards are going to the net.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they do. Unless they can get a play off the rush, that's what they do. That's how they play offense. And it works for them. And, they have more talent offensively than we do. But, if you're going to spend all your money on defense, which the Bruins have, they should do that. That's where, you're going to need some production to come from there. So that's what they should be doing, in my opinion, because they don't have the forwards right now to make it work. Mm-hmm. So get it down low, possess the puck, low to high, and then as soon as the defense has a lane, shoot the puck and just get to the front of the net for tips and rebounds. They don't have enough talent outside of Pastrnak to score goals like dangling through people. They just don't.
They don't have the individual creativity.
You have to change the way you play offense, and they need to change the way they break pucks out of their zone. We've talked about this too. The quick transition team with a slow, big team isn't going to work. Who are you going to beat up the ice? Everybody catches you. They catch you. Yeah. So possess the puck, go D to D if you have to, and then chip pucks in down low and go get it and bang bodies if you're a big team, which you want it to be, apparently. Mm-hmm. You have to change the way you play. So either they need a new coach or they need the coach to change his philosophy, or they need new players.
I almost think Julian would be a better coach for this team.
He absolutely would.
For what they have. So because they go D to D, their forwards would be way deep, helping out the D.
Yeah.
It would be a slow, methodical up the ice, but I think that this team would need that.
This team does need that.
Yeah.
You can't continuously just chip the puck up the boards. Because that does not
go get it. You're not going to go get
it. Offense. You're doing it in your own defensive zone. So then it's a 50-50 puck in center ice, or most likely it's like a 30-70 puck in center ice.
Right.
You're chipping it to the other team. They're getting and transitioning you with speed and good players against your slow guys. Like you're just asking for trouble all over the ice. You're asking for trouble. They need to change the way they do things, but somebody's got to be smart enough to decide to do that, and it doesn't appear as though anyone wants to. Right. The players are just buying into the system, I guess, and the coaching staff is coaching the same way they always have. And Sweeney's got the same player, the same coach, the same management style, same big guys. I don't know, it's the same shit over and over again.
When do you think Tyler Johnson signs?
Hopefully tomorrow morning.
I think it might be tomorrow.
I hope so.
I think it might be tomorrow, and I'm not sure who they send down, but I think it might be
Highly
tomorrow.
Tufty and his 2 penalties in 6 minutes.
Tough. You can afford to lose Tufty. What is the big? You mean to tell me that Trevor Kuntar or John Farinacci or Riley Duran couldn't do what Riley Tufty does? Like, do you really have to hang on to him? You can't sign Tyler Johnson because you're afraid to lose Riley Tufty?
You know what I want on the bottom, one of the bottom 2 lines is Trevor Kuntar. I want a shit stirrer back on the team.
Yeah,
I don't want a guy who's just going to go and just take penalties. I want a shit stirrer. I want somebody who's going to get into the crease like Brendan Gallagher and chop the goalie in the leg, or chop one of the defensemen in the leg.
Yeah.
Give him a butt end, whatever.
Yeah.
Give me
snow.
Yes. Yeah. Just cause havoc.
Sure. Yeah.
Give me one of those. Give me him.
Yeah.
Give me him on the bottom, not the 4th line. Don't touch the 4th line, but
no, don't touch the 4th line.
But
put him on the 3rd line.
Yeah.
The hell.
Put him out there with Freddie. Maybe he'll rub off on Freddie a little bit.
Yeah, Freddie and Kunta. Sure.
Yeah. And Charlie Coyle. You can throw Morgan Geeky to you can wave him too.
Fire to the sun. Fire him to the sun. I mean, they've got Geeky and Frederick coming up at the end of the year. At this point, like last year, I would have said, yeah, Frederick's going to sign or whatever. They'll find. I don't think, and you think he's leaving.
I do.
But I don't think, at this point, I don't know if they want to keep him.
Not if he plays like this, they don't.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, was he a dash tonight?
Yeah, I think everybody was a dash tonight.
No.
Frederick he was even. 2 shots, 3 hits. He played 14-22, 18 shifts. Of course, they were shorthanded quite a bit. He's not really he doesn't play any penalty kill.
No.
So, lost 1 face-off.
I mean, yeah.
But he hasn't done anything offensively. Like last year, it seemed like he has a goal and he's a -7. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like in losses, he's a -5. I mean, he doesn't do anything right now offensively.
No, they have a team full of guys who don't do anything.
Yeah, they're all the same. There's a bunch of guys who are the same. And right now they don't have enough top 6 players. They don't have enough wingers. They need a winger. And Sweeney said that they weren't a finished product. Everybody knew they were a winger short, top 6 winger short. That's why Lysell and Merkulov got time to see if they could be one. That's why Tyler Johnson's sitting in his living room waiting, because they are short a top 6 winger, but at least one. But right now, they don't have anybody but Pastrnak really that can really play the wing offensively the way it needs to be done.
No, I mean, and there aren't a lot of guys like Pastrnak out there, but you can get some, there's some 2nd line guys that you could get or should have bought maybe instead of spending more money on defense.
Yeah. All right. Do you have 3 stars for the Boston Bruins tonight?
I would say Jeremy Swayman.
Well, I'll say Lowry was the only defenseman without a giveaway. I will say that
didn't he pass the puck into the middle of that wasn't him?
Lowry? No, I believe that was Lindholm.
Oh.
Was that Lindholm? I think that was Lindholm. Mason Lowry.
Okay.
I'll have him as 1. And then there was a forward who was well, I mean, I would say, well, I mean, Koepke had 1 shot.
I didn't think. I mean, Koepke wasn't bad. Kaslik won the fight.
Kaslik won the fight. Yeah,
he was decent.
Yeah, Jones had a hit, 4 PIMs. He had a block shot, no shots on net. Played 18 shifts for some ungodly reason. Yeah, he played 11-14. Kaslik played 9:55. Who played the most minutes? It was Zacha played 18:48 for forwards.
Did Zacha hit 2 posts tonight?
Zacha hit 2 posts. Zacha has been the guy who's had the most glorious opportunities offensively all season long.
Yeah.
And doesn't have any fucking thing to show for it.
Nope.
He hit the crossbar tonight. He had another on the cross crease pass.
Yeah.
That Saros made a great save on.
Mm-hmm.
There was the other night where he had 3 glaring opportunities, 3 beautiful opportunities. Yep. I don't think he got a shot off on all of them. It's just he had that one goal. He has one goal. But Zacha, this is what Zacha is, though. He was a high draft pick. He had all the potential in the world, and he gets you there, but no money shot. You know what I mean? He gets you there, but you're just pumping all night long, and it's not going to happen.
There's no film in the camera.
Right. He's a porn director's dream, but he doesn't get there at the end of the day.
No film in the camera.
That's what he is.
Pastrnak had 2 breakaways tonight. Toe picked himself on one.
He did.
I don't know what the hell he was doing. Early in the game, he had a breakaway.
He did.
Saved by Saros. So Saros made some big saves.
That was 10 seconds into the second period, I believe.
So there were some chances by some of the Bees, big guns. I thought the power play overall looked decent tonight. They moved the puck fairly well, and they had some pretty good chances. But I don't know.
Dan Maynard is asking if we're still looking for names for the fourth line. He said Team Foreplay. Is that too much? Yeah, I mean you can. It might be slightly better than the Whopper line.
Yeah,
but Team Foreplay. Yeah, that might be pretty good. Tonight, of course, was Kaslik gets in the fight, and then it was kind of an uneven game. Lots of penalties. Not a lot of 5-on-5, so the fourth line didn't have the same sort of effect. Right. It wasn't like they were bad. They were probably still the best line they had, but they just didn't play as many minutes as they have in the past. All right, so next game is Thursday night at home against Dallas. It's that dangerous coming home after a trip, too. You got to throw that thing in there, too. Letdown City after you come back from a trip.
It shouldn't be Letdown City because they just got their ass kicked.
Shouldn't be. Right. Shouldn't be. But it's always weird coming back home.
It is.
It is. And Dallas is very good.
And
it's 7:00. So thank God for that. We could get back to 7:00 Eastern time games.
An hour. Yeah.
It should be great. So that will be, and we will be post-game live Thursday night.
Okay. Do you have a prediction for Thursday?
My prediction for Thursday.
Yep.
My prediction for Thursday is 5-3 Dallas Stars.
You think we're going to score 3 goals?
Yeah, I think so. At home, yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes. Did Ottinger play tonight?
I don't know.
No, I think the other guy played.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Who's the backup? I think the backup played tonight. So we're gonna get Ottinger.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I think so.
No, Ottinger played tonight.
Oh, he did. Okay, so maybe they get the backup. Do you see Korpisalo?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Korpisalo.
They'll go Swayman against Toronto. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be 4-0 again.
4-0. So another shutout.
Yep.
And then we're in trouble.
So I think Dallas is going to come in, and I mean Dallas is a much better team than Nashville. Dallas is going to come
Dallas is really good.
and be pissed off they lost to Buffalo. We're coming back from a road trip. Mm-hmm. We can't do anything right, and I think
the boo birds start coming because people are getting a little irritated.
Yeah. People are gonna be restless. They're gonna take a stupid penalty early in the game. Dallas is probably gonna score in the power play. Right. The crowd's gonna turn on them. Korpisalo is gonna let in a soft one or two, And there you go. It's 2-0 or 3-0 before you know it. And Dallas just coasts to an easy victory, and we don't have any pushback. And it's 4-0 shutout 2 times in a row.
That might cause some stirring. Pejrod says so 3 goals from the fourth line then. Yeah.
Yeah, what
get 3. One for each.
5
One for each. One for each on Thursday. Yeah, so if that happens, I mean, if they come back and lay an egg at home, then you really have to start thinking if Monty is just all done. Like if it's just not working. You really have to think that. I mean, if they come back and respond and win and play much better at home, then we're probably just jumping the gun and maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sky is falling right now because I don't like the way any of it's trending. I don't like the way they're playing. I don't like any of the
signs I don't love. Like I get it's 7 games, and people always say that. Wow, Jesus, only 7 games. You thinking? Yeah, I get it, but there's just the signs are there that it's not great.
Right.
You know,
and we have to do this every night. So we're talking about the game after the game. And obviously, right directly after a game where you get your ass kicked, you're going to be like, "Oh, that wasn't great." That didn't make me feel too good.
No.
If we were doing it back, if we were doing it once a week, you'd have a little time to reflect on it and be like, "All right, step back. It wasn't that bad. They'll be fine."
Right.
And hopefully that's all true. Hopefully they will be fine. And hopefully I'm wrong about Thursday. They come in, they respond, they wake up and have a nice big win against a really good Dallas Stars team. And then you're like, okay, maybe we can build off that.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously I'm rooting for a big Bruins W on Thursday, but I don't have a great feeling around the team right now.
No, I don't think so. But if they win the next 2, then all is probably right in the world, and we're back to. We should call this Bruins Benders instant reaction instead of post game live, because my instant reaction is we blow, and this isn't the best feeling. All right, so let's do it again Thursday night. Hey, thanks for the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back at it Thursday night for post game live after Bruins Stars. As always, even tonight.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.